Hi kids, welcome back to the Boston Rob Show. Today, I want to talk about the humble flex and how some of the influential and savvy social media people are being wicked ironical when they say how humbled they are. It's the end of the year, so we're bound to see lots of social media posts celebrating awards, accomplishments, and the like. I've even seen posts from people like garyvee, an icon for having the absolute best positive words. Humble flexing how Gary gave advice to, some rando years ago, and it affecting that person in such a way they felt compelled to private message Gary V to testify to the power of his words. Testify. So why would Gary V not screenshot it to show the world how humbled he is? How else will people know and follow and subscribe to the absolute best positive word sayer? Now, these posts are everywhere. It's just that time of year to humbly pat ourselves on the back for all the good we, ourselves, alone have done. Just like January 1st is the only time of year we're allowed to start new, do something healthy, to work out, or try something different. You can't start a diet on February 14th. What are you, nuts? That's National Buy Corporate Chocolate Day. And you can't try something different on March 17th. That's a national day to act international while spending money local, endangering the locals' day. Don't you even think of trying to manage time better that day. That day is our country's heritage of another country, and that's all we do that day. So basically it comes down to January 1st being the only logical day to better ourselves. And what's a better lead up than to end the year humbly celebrating ourselves? It's everywhere right now. Just like this podcast is humbly sharing with the world how humbly wrong we are celebrating our humility. And not to sound too much like a Marshall Mathers brainstorming session, but I just want to quickly read some words from the dictionary. Oh, it's a free app too for those humble enough to want to know what the definitions that we all collectively agreed upon for certain words are. First, let's start with the troublemaker. Humble, meaning not proud or arrogant, modest. Like to be humble, although successful. Having a feeling of insignificance, inferiority. Like in the presence of so many world-famous social media posters, I felt very humble. It means low in rank, importance, status, quality, etc. Lowly, of humble origin. A humble home, which I'm sure we've all seen in our feeds. Courteously, respectfully, like, in my humble opinion, you actually mean you're proud. Or it could be a verb, humbled, humbling, to lower in condition, importance, or dignity. Now, let's look up proud. Feeling pleasure or satisfaction over something regarded as highly honorable or creditable to oneself. Having, proceeding from, or showing a high opinion of one's own dignity, one's own importance, or superiority. Highly gratifying to the feelings or self-esteem. Now let's go flip a few pages. No, I said we're on an app. Okay, let's just type in appropriate. To take for oneself. Take possession of. To take without permission or consent. To seize. Now let's check one final word. Co-opt. To assimilate, take, or win over into a larger or established group. To appropriate as one's own. Now, maybe we can try to use some of these words we looked up in sentences. Here we go. Some folks keep celebrating themselves, saying they're humbled, but they've appropriated that word to mean something it doesn't. They really mean they're proud of themselves, which isn't a bad thing. It is a bit deceitful, co-opting the word humble only to convince others they should be proud for them. Here, I have a solution. One I kinda stole. No, stole's a bad word. I humbly celebrated this idea from Jesus. And I think we can all agree, whether you believe or not, that Jesus' story is a humble one. Now, when Yeshua, or as Americans like to call him, Jesus, healed the blind man, Jesus gathered some dirt in his hands and spit on it. He rubbed it in the blind man's eyes, and when it was washed away, the blind man could see. But you know what one of the most fascinating parts of this story is? That Yeshua told this man, "Do not let anyone know I did this. Do not speak this. Do not tell anyone about this." That's right. Yeshua didn't want anyone to know what he had done. Jesus never said, make sure you let the people know who made this magic happen. So maybe, when you humble flex, leave yourself out of it. Like Gary Vee, millions of followers, wicked powerful social media presence, and Gary humbly screenshots a guy thanking him for his few words of life-changing encouragement, only to show how humble Gary is. What if, stay with me here, what if instead of making the post about himself, Gary Vee, with his millions of followers and power of social influence, posted about some random guy who had been working hard on his own stuff, and if you got a chance, you could support this guy, doing so in whatever way Gary feels appropriate. Imagine using your social power like that, and not even mentioning the private message about how you're the one who impacted this person years ago, but made it all about helping a small business person because you have the power to do so. Oh, and didn't you say you were humbled or humble or something? Right? I don't know. Although, nowhere in that post do you really get to talk about how you're humbled and how humble you are, so maybe that idea is rubbish. Forget it. What were we talking about anyways? I think the point I was trying to make was, will you look at the time? Well, that's all we got time for today, kids. Thanks for listening to the Boston Rob Show. I am humbled you listen, and if you could humbly hit subscribe and humbly share this podcast episode with the entire world, I would humbly appreciate it.
Son, I was sorry to hear about your dad. I was. But before I decide to keep my business with your place, I'd have to come by and have a look at your new operation.
Hey, I tell you what, you can take a good look at a butcher's ass by sticking your head up there, but wouldn't you rather take his word for it?
What?